stories speak to something that facts cannot. And so hearing these people's stories and holding these stories and even sitting with and holding my own story and my former husband's story and all of these things that fell apart in my life, I learned to see probably the greatest miracle I've ever seen is the miracle of a broken heart. You would never if I hadn't experienced it and seen it the way that I did, I would have never considered a broken heart a good thing or a miracle. But it is, and it's brutal. It's brutiful. We'll just make up a new word today. It's brutiful. It's brutal and beautiful at the same time. But part of this process for me has been, and this has been a huge part of this, forgiveness of him, forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of my parents, forgiveness of my culture, whatever it's been, and turning back to what is truth. And truth is love. And to be able to tell my story, because so I had this experience 14 years ago. It lasted for 5 weeks. I did not tell hardly anybody. I think I told 4 people who were close to me. My family knew. So much of my family didn't know for a decade later. And I left my support system in California like within a month. So I left this was the support that I had. I went to a new place. Didn't feel like could tell anybody. I couldn't open up to anybody. I really had no recourse, nobody to listen to my story. So it all just got shoved down and down and down and down and down. And I just kept showing up. Like if I just love him hard enough, right? And I tell people this all the time. You're not Jesus. You're not Jesus. Knock it off. You can't save him, right? But we all have this complex in us where we are almost compulsively sacrificing ourselves for others, right? If I just do this, then, which is really codependence of like, if we're going to get into that, but our whole society is. There's really not like our institutions, our churches, our schools, our homes, our communities, our government. We're all codependent. In order for me to be okay, I need you to be a specific way, right? And we talked about this a little bit ago, like going inward, like you can't be okay for me. I have to be okay for me. But it's taken time to go through this process of like shoving everything down and dying inside in silence.
Yeah.
And I did that for so long, 22 years. So many of us do it. And it's why I speak. It's why I tell stories, because if I tell a story and one woman, and even men, it's usually women because that's my experience and that's really my audience, but women or men, they go, yeah, I never thought of that before until you told that story. And it just one story will shift for somebody. But getting to like, it's been a long process to get to where I can tell my story, own my story, and not throw someone else under the bus because I know it's not personal.